the two witnesses are not the Old and New Testament. In Revelation 11 speaks of a literal period of 3 years and a half, and are called 42 months, or 1,260 days. Revelation 1:1-2-3. During those literal 42 months, or 1,260 days, the city of Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles, and that is the same length of time during which God's two witnesses will predict. The devil has deceived many into believing that these two witnesses, God's prophets, are the Old and New Testaments, as shown in fraudulent sects of Seventh-day Adventism. The Seventh-day Adventist interpretation are all false and ridiculous. According to the false sect, the two witnesses, two people, are not literal, but are the Old and New Testament, namely the Bible, which, as the false teachers of that sect, was killed in France in 1793, during the French Revolution. This interpretation of the sect is so fake and stupid, which falls under its own weight, as the Revelation teaches very clearly that the two witnesses are two human beings, literally flesh and blood. They are two prophets sent by God, which will build the church, and at the end of his ministry of 1,260 days will be killed by the beast after 3 days and a half, and resurrected, rise to heaven in a cloud, in the presence of his enemies. To say that the Old and New Testaments were killed by the beast in 1793, in France, and say that the Bible resurrected, and ascended to heaven in a cloud, it is so fake and stupid, that only people with very little gray matter in their head you can believe such a lying fable inspired by the devil himself, and taught by the anti-Christian sect and scam known as Seventh-day Adventist Church. The doctrine that God's two witnesses are the Old and New Testament is as false and ridiculous, which falls under its own weight, as I will demonstrate below. Revelation teaches very clearly that these two witnesses, prophets of God, will be dead by the beast at the end of his ministry of 1,260 literal days, and 3.5 days after the dead will rise, and rise to heaven in a cloud, in the presence of their enemies, which proves beyond doubt that these two witnesses of God will be two literal human beings of flesh and blood, two great prophets sent by God to earth in order to build his true church, to prepare for the glorious coming of the Messiah Jesus. It is totally ridiculous and impossible to say that the two witnesses of God are the Old and New Testaments, since the Bible was never killed by the beast, or the Bible raised again available on the third day, and ascended to heaven in a cloud in the presence of his enemies. These sectarian Adventists simply lie with a false, ridiculous and twisted interpretation. The two witnesses will be two Christians chosen by God and endowed by God with tremendous supernatural powers, so that they can use those powers in self-defense against those who want to kill them, or to punish the earth with plagues, as often as they wish. Revelation 11 is stated. Those 42 months or 1,260 days during which the two witnesses exercise their prophetic ministry of the church building for the period of time of the world government of the beast. Revelation 13:5. This means that the two witnesses of God will exercise his prophetic ministry in the future, when the city of Jerusalem is held by the Gentile nations, and this will be for global governance of the beast. Therefore, the two witnesses of God have not yet manifested, because the city of Jerusalem is currently held by Israel, but will come a time when Israel will cede total control of the old city of Jerusalem to the new government world false Messiah, Nicholas I, implant. For more information about the future Nicholas I false Messiah, and his religious ally, the false prophet, read the following document: www.los21tejestatito.com. link. The false prophet, the Jewish Pope, Peter II, will control all the religious holy places in Jerusalem. The third temple will be rebuilt on the Temple Mount, and then this false prophet will introduce his throne in the new temple rebuilt in Jerusalem, then installing its global center of religious power. This was already predicted by the Apostle Paul, when he said that the man of sin, the Pope, will sit in the temple of God, and passed by God. 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4. This new temple rebuilt in Jerusalem replaced the Vatican, and it will become the world power center of the false prophet, and headquarters of the New World ecumenical religion, led by Pedro II. When this prophecy is fulfilled, and Jerusalem is delivered to the Gentiles to be trod, then it will start the ministry of God's two witnesses, which will last 1,260 days.